Debbie.
And I'm Audrey.
And we are the Question Queens. Today we've got a video for you. It is from LFR Family. His name is Van, and I am definitely a fan and a supporter of his. Subscribers are asking him questions, and we're going to take a look at it with you. All right, here we go.
We are. Some of us are happy with who we are. But before I started doing these reactions, I've never, ever heard a black person, just in regular conversation, say that they love the United States. Never heard a black person say that they love the country. Never seen a black person carrying around a flag or put a flag on their door unless they were old military vet, old army vet or something like that. But these are all things I'm learning. Someone called me a true patriot in one of my videos. Do you know I received messages from a couple people who know me personally who saw that as disrespect? That someone called me a true patriot. Someone called me a true patriot, bro. And 2 people reached out to me feeling like that was disrespectful of them to call me a true patriot. And for
What do you think about that, Audrey?
I think it's the way the media has hijacked some stuff. I mean, I'm interested to hear what he says, and I don't know what's in the other people's minds.
Yeah.
But if I called him a true patriot, I would mean that he loves his country and he's interested in doing what has to be done for his country. He's not speaking for all black people, and the guy that reached out to him and said true patriot was disrespectful is not speaking for all black people.
Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
I'm plugging in. Keep going.
In a way that people would think it's cool to call me a true patriot. Like that's a bad thing. But it's rough, man. It's rough. It's rough. That's why King Bliss and I was having a conversation about the MAGA hat thing. It's a real thing. Back to what Rush said. Rush fan said that I flipped my algorithm. And yes, I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. I flipped my algorithm.
Do you know I thought about doing that?
What?
Flipping my algorithm. Like, I don't get anything from, I don't get anything from any news. I don't ever like.
Yeah. I mean, I occasionally do that. I seek out information, and definitely, like, I have friends that say things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I always like it because what I'm saying is I see you. You know,
You're green.
but I hope that messes with the algorithms a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that and do like MSNBC and CNN and all the ones that I never listen to and just see what happens. All right, let's hear what he says.
Algorithm by doing reactions, period. What happened was I flipped my own algorithm on purpose. And I did it because I started doing reactions. Because there's never been a time where I ever Googled Metallica anything. I've never Googled or searched YouTube for Linkin Park anything, Guns N' Roses anything, Megadeth anything, Godsmack anything. So when I'm searching Tool and all these other bands that I'm looking for, my algorithm is switching. Then I started checking out country, and I'm checking out white comedians. So I'm checking out a whole bunch of stuff within the span of 2.5 years that I've never in my life checked out. So of course, I'm going out of my way to change my own algorithm.
Yeah.
But I started learning more and more and more about people cultures, by these different cultures I didn't know before. I started doing reactions, and that right there will change you. That will change you because then when you start to understand people, you start to empathize. You understand, you empathize. Sometimes you try not to.
Ooh, that was really good. When you understand people, you start to empathize.
That's absolutely true and bears out in everything. I mean, because like what I'm thinking is that if you are, what the algorithm can do is feed you what you want, like junk food. You know, it can just give you more and more of the same. But if what you're looking for is an honest representation of the truth, well, the algorithm doesn't have a box to check for that. And
Right.
so that's why I hate, like, don't put people in boxes. Let algorithms do that. But when we're having conversations, let's accept that people from all kinds of backgrounds can like all kinds of things. And maybe things that they think they don't like, or that they will say they don't like, they haven't been exposed to the good ones yet.
Right.
They
Right.
haven't approached it with an open mind, or maybe they just don't like it. Who knows? But you cannot speak for a whole group of people and say, "Oh, well, these kind of people like that."
Right.
That's
Yeah, that set off like major flags for me as soon as like any of those words came out of my mouth. I'm not doing that. It's not right. It's not true.
it's not true,
There's
and it's
no
not
way that you can speak the
thoughtful.
truth.
I mean,
There's no way you can speak the truth when you say white people, black people, Chinese people. You cannot, it cannot be all encompassing because they're people.
well, and
And all
you
people
know,
are different.
in complex thought, opposite things can both be true. The opposite of truth is false, but if we're talking about good and bad, like things that are very different, are not necessarily the opposite. And so when and so your brain can work both ways. Your brain is trying to make sense of the world. It's looking for categories, it's looking for structure, it's looking for easy ways to categorize people.
Mhm.
Tall, short, black, white,
Yes.
man, woman. It's looking for easy classifications to make sense out of the world so that you can navigate it through it.
Right.
And that needs to happen and is going to happen. And also at the same time, you can look for truth, and you can look for the complexity in relationships, and you can look for where things are different. So you can explore how things are different and how they're the same.
Similarities and
Yeah.
Right.
And both things can be true. It can be true that lots of Black people like hip hop music. And it can also be true that other Black people like country music. That doesn't make them less Black. It doesn't make anybody's experience less valid.
Right.
Both things can be true. That if what we're trying to do is sell a product, we're going to sell it to the masses. But if what we're trying to do is understand somebody's experience, we shouldn't categorize things that way.
Right. Yeah. I
So,
agree. Yeah. I mean, that it is complex in those thoughts, and it does make sense. I felt completely uncomfortable the moment I tried to put anybody into one whole category. But then I was thinking as you were talking, like, if I was to say people in the Black community are people, well, that is true. There are some truths when you do use those categories, but
you got to be careful how do you use them. Are you trying to understand?
right.
Are you trying to sell a product? Are you trying to feel empathy? Are you
Right,
trying to
well,
manipulate?
when he mentioned earlier about the business thing, I wonder if his perception is that that's normal for white people or other races, just from his experience. No one ever talked about business. Well, is his perception that that happens in my community everywhere? It's just the norm? Because
Right.
that's not.
I mean, the way he said it, you could
Yeah.
infer that. But that's not, I mean, definitely that's not true, because
No, it's absolutely not true.
that every white household is not building wealth. Every
I can't know.
household is not worried about generational wealth.
Right. I can't
And that's
know.
why,
Sorry.
that's why we got to watch the media on dividing people,
They do.
because the truth is a lot of it is about socioeconomic and class and trauma and survival. Because if you are in a position to where you're not sure you're going to make it to your next payday, generational wealth sounds really stupid to talk about.
I really don't.
You don't have you can't really talk about that. And so some of it is steps along the path. Communities, poor communities, Black communities may not have talked about business before. They were trying to survive. There's been a lot done to make people have a different experience. So the people today are having a different experience. They have opportunities that weren't available 50 years ago, 25 years ago. So they're able to have a different conversation. Nobody's fighting to be allowed into college, so they can have a different conversation now. Some of it's progress, and some of it is experience, and all of that is growth if what we're focused on is the truth and understanding and building. And me, you, and him, that's definitely what we're focused on. But the media is focused on moving product.
I don't really get that. I don't understand the end goal or the point of, basically it's segregation. It is categories by race. And that is literally, I can flip on CNN right now or MSNBC, and I guarantee they'll mention race within 1 minute. And
I wish I remembered the details of this story, Debbie, but there was a moment, it might be 60 minutes. We should look it up. But there was a moment. So the news used to be, here's what happened today. Here's what happened today. Here's what happened today.
Yeah, I remember it.
Then, and it might have been 60 minutes. We can look it up. Siri knows. There was a moment in time where a show came out and people were watching it and it had commercials and it was different. And people said, hey, wait a minute. We could make money on this. And the focus started turning from here's what happened to how do I draw you in? How do I keep you sitting through the next commercial? How do I get more sponsors to buy in?
Okay.
And that's how we get to where we are today. And so there's no money to be made.
All the drama.
The bridges.
It's all the created drama. So people are tuning in to find out what's the next thing in this story. Because
what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And then you build your experience around that. And if you don't have the opportunity or the inclination to seek out a different experience, just like eating junk food, you crave more of the same. And like a sugar addiction, you crave the drama, you crave more of the same, you crave confirmation of what's already going on in your mind.
Well, I know this video got a little deep, but I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. Are you going to flip your algorithm? I think that's a really good question. It's something to really, think about. Look at what you're being fed and what are you living in? Would you say it's a vacuum? Is that what it's called?
Maybe.
Or echo chamber.
Echo chamber, yeah.
Echo chamber. Are you living in a bubble where you just see the same thing over and over and over again? And getting a new perspective. Actually, a perspective is probably one of the top 5 most important things for both of us. I would say, yeah. So anyway, hit the subscribe button on your way out. Hit the like button, and thanks so much for joining us. Bye.